Hello everyone, McCauley here with the Theology of the Body Institute. About a month ago, I did a YouTube video on femininity. What does true femininity look like? If you want to check out that video, you can go back about a month, or maybe I've seen it pop up here sometimes. So if I do this, it may pop up. Boom. If it popped up right there, you can click on it there. Anyways, after I did a video on femininity, I feel like I now need to do one on masculinity. So that's what we're going to get into today. What does true masculinity look like? So John Paul II says in his Theology of the Body that masculinity is only revealed in light of femininity, and femininity is only revealed in light of masculinity. I gave a talk a couple months ago on just femininity, and I'll never forget a man walked up to me afterwards and said, "Brendan, I just want to thank you. Learning what femininity is helped me to discover what it means to be masculine." And why I just share that right there is because if we want to talk at all about masculinity, we always have to have in mind the woman, femininity, in order to truly discover masculinity. Okay, I now want to share with you just a personal prayer experience where I learned in my heart what it means to be a man. I was 21 years old and I was in this deep meditation, and I was sitting on top of a hill overlooking a city, and it was kind of a deserty land. And Jesus was sitting right next to me, and he was my age at the time. He was 21 years old, and he had his arm around me. And he said, "Brendan, if you want to know what it means to be a man, if you want to know how to love a woman rightly, you have to give yourself entirely to me so that I may be in you and I may be the one loving through you, for my love is far greater than yours." And I knew in my heart what it means to be truly masculine. It's to be like Jesus. It's to allow Jesus to come into me so that I can behave like him, act like him. I think what we need to do as men is we need to turn our eyes on Jesus, enter the Gospels, enter his story, because Jesus is God himself who became a male to reveal to us males what it means to be a male. Yes, I said male a lot there, but it's just the truth. He is the perfect masculine man. And what was his life all about? He said, "I came to serve, not to be served. I came to give my life so that you may have life." Jesus' mission was all about living for others. And this right here is the big difference between boys and men. Boys live for themselves, men live for others. You know, I've been getting some formation in my own masculinity from this counselor, and we've just been diving into my story, my woundedness, and he said to me with such love and with such power, and I needed to hear this. I want to share it with you. He said this to me. He said, "Brendan, if you're called to marriage one day, it wouldn't be okay to enter into marriage as an insecure boy who is looking for the woman to fill your woundedness that only God can fill. No, you're called to enter into marriage as a secure man who knows his identity as a beloved son of the Father, who can then enter into it freely and give of yourself." And I needed to hear this because it's just the truth. Us men need to become secure in our identity first before we can go out and share that with others. This is what true masculinity is. It's to know who you are as a beloved son of the Father. And when we as men give of ourselves, live in the truth of our masculinity, it often takes the form of sacrifice. I think the greatest icon, the greatest window into what true masculinity is the crucifix. It's in the midst of evil, Jesus continued to give of himself. "This is my body given for you." So the heights of masculinity is sacrificial love. And this is what St. Paul in his letters to the Ephesians is telling husbands to do. He says, "Husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her, so that she may be made spotless without wrinkle or any such blemish." He's calling men, he's calling husbands to imitate Christ, to sacrifice himself, to serve her rather than to be served. This is true masculinity. And I want to just share one last story about a saint who lived out this imitation of Jesus Christ. His name is Saint Maximilian Kolbe. St. Maximilian Kolbe was a priest, so he was sacramentally conformed to the person of Jesus. And he got taken as a prisoner into Auschwitz, the concentration camp. And one day there were prisoners, some men who escaped the camp. And the soldiers wanted to teach all the men a lesson. So they said, okay, come over here, guys. And they said, we're going to take 10 men and we're going to put them in a starvation bunker so that you guys will learn the lesson to never escape. And so they started picking these men, and they picked 10 of them, and one of them said, not me, no, not me. I have a wife, I have kids, not me. And so Maximilian Kolbe stood up and said, I want to take this man's position. And the soldiers were like, what are you doing? Do you know what you're getting into? And he said, yeah, this man has a wife and children, and I'm a Catholic priest. I want to take his place. And so the soldiers allowed him to do this. And so Maximilian Kolbe and 9 other men went into a starvation bunker. And Maximilian Kolbe sang hymns with them, prayed with them, and they ultimately started to die. And Maximilian Kolbe was the last person, and he wouldn't die of starvation. And so they ultimately injected into his heart poison. But I want to share this one thing that a lot of people don't know about this story, is that one of the soldiers, how he described Maximilian Kolbe, said, we couldn't look at him in the eyes because they were piercing us with such love. They were piercing them with such love. This is Jesus in him. Masculinity is in the face of evil and suffering. It's to still give of yourself with love. So this is what we are called to as men. And so I just want to invite you to share this video with any friends or family, or maybe a man that you know who would benefit from this video. And I also invite you to subscribe to our channel so that you'll be up to date with everything we're doing at the Theology of the Body Institute. God bless.